The Great Hall of Nexus Prime had never felt so heavy with tension. 12 different alien species sat in their assigned sections, each representative more anxious than the last. The air itself seemed thick with worry and fear. At the center of it all stood Council Prime Zethkari, his crystalline body catching the artificial light and throwing rainbow patterns across the curved walls. Zethkari had seen 300 years of galactic peace. He had negotiated treaties between warring empires and settled disputes that could have destroyed entire star systems. But today felt different. Today, they were discussing the humans. "The data is clear," announced War Marshal Crux, his insectoid, clicking echoing through the chamber. His 6 arms gestured at the holographic displays floating above the assembly. In just 200 years, they have spread to over 40 star systems. Their population grows faster than any species we have recorded. Their technology advances at a rate that defies all our models. Ambassador Velnara shifted gracefully in her floating chair. Her people communicated through telepathy, but she spoke aloud for the benefit of the other species. "Perhaps we are being hasty. The humans have shown no direct aggression toward any council member. Their expansion, while rapid, has been into unclaimed space. Unclaimed space that we were monitoring for future development," Crux shot back. "They take what they want without asking permission. They build weapons we do not understand. They refuse to submit to proper galactic oversight." Captain Elena Vasquez sat in the human observation section, her hands gripping the armrests of her chair. She had been Earth's liaison to the Galactic Council for 5 years. In all that time, she had never seen the council members this agitated. Something was very wrong. Zethkari's voice resonated through the chamber with the authority of centuries. "The human expansion rate is unprecedented. In our records, no species has ever colonized so many worlds so quickly while maintaining technological advancement. Most civilizations slow their growth as they spread. Humans appear to accelerate." Elena stood up slowly. "Council Prime, if I may speak, my people have always been willing to discuss our expansion plans. We have never hidden our colonization efforts. We simply saw empty space and decided to fill it." The chamber fell silent. Elena could feel thousands of alien eyes focused on her. Some species had multiple eyes. Others had sensory organs she could not even identify. All of them were studying her with what felt like a mix of fear and curiosity. "That is precisely the problem," said Counselor Thixnar, a tall being that looked like living metal. "You see empty space and take it. You encounter a problem and solve it with new technology. You face a challenge and overcome it through adaptation. This pattern suggests an aggressive, expansionist mindset." Elena felt her confusion growing. But isn't that what all civilizations do? Grow, explore, adapt? "No," Zethkari said quietly. "Most civilizations reach a point of stability. They find their place in the galaxy and maintain it. They accept limits. Humans appear to recognize no limits at all." War Marshal Crux stood to his full height, which was considerable. "We have monitored human communications. Your leaders speak of reaching other galaxies. Your scientists work on faster-than-light travel methods that could revolutionize space travel. Your military develops weapons based on principles we are still trying to understand. This is not normal growth. This is preparation for dominance." "That's not true," Elena protested. "We explore because we're curious. We develop technology because we enjoy solving problems. We expand because we like having room to grow. None of this is about dominance." Ambassador Velnara's telepathic abilities allowed her to sense emotions across species barriers. What she felt from Elena was genuine confusion and honesty. But what she felt from the human homeworld when she extended her consciousness towards Sul was something else entirely. It was organized, determined, and vast beyond her ability to fully comprehend. The human homeworld shields itself from telepathic observation, Velnara announced. This suggests they have developed psychic defenses, Combined with their rapid expansion and technological advancement, this creates a profile consistent with a species preparing for galactic conquest. Elena's heart sank. She realized that everything humanity did to better themselves was being interpreted as preparation for war. Their curiosity was seen as intelligence gathering. Their exploration was viewed as territorial expansion. Their technological progress was considered weapons development. Zethkari activated the central hologram system. The display showed a map of the local galactic region. Human space was marked in red, and it was growing larger each year. In 300 years of Council oversight, we have never encountered a species that expands this rapidly while maintaining internal stability. Historical analysis suggests that such rapid growth always leads to aggressive expansion beyond the species' natural territory. But we haven't been aggressive, Elena said desperately. We've never attacked anyone. We've never threatened anyone. We've been peaceful neighbors. So far, Crux said ominously. But your current trajectory suggests this will change. Your species has the capability to challenge the existing galactic order. The Council cannot allow this uncertainty to continue. The chamber erupted in discussion as different species voiced their concerns. Elena heard phrases like uncontrolled, expansion, technological threat, and preventive measures echoing from all directions. She realized with growing horror that the Council had already made up their minds about humanity. Zethkari called for order. The chamber fell silent again. The Council has reached a decision regarding the human expansion issue. We offer 3 options to the human government. Elena felt her stomach drop. This was not a discussion anymore. This was a judgment. First option, Zethkari continued. Humanity accepts technological limitations overseen by the Council. Population growth will be regulated. Expansion beyond current territories will cease. All weapons research will be submitted for Council approval. Elena wanted to object, but Zethkari continued without pause. Second option, humanity withdraws all colonies and population to their home system. Sol will become a protected zone, but humans will not be permitted to leave it without Council permission. The chamber was dead silent now. Elena could hear her own heartbeat. Third option. The Council will implement collective enforcement action to ensure galactic security. This will involve whatever measures are deemed necessary to eliminate the human expansion threat. Elena stood up, her legs shaking. You're talking about war. You're talking about destroying my people because you're afraid of what we might do, not what we have done. Ambassador Velnara looked sad. We do not wish for conflict, but the patterns are clear. Rapid expansion, technological advancement, and resource acquisition at this rate always leads to imperial behavior. We have seen it before. When? Elena demanded. Show me one example of a species like humanity that became aggressive. The chamber fell silent. Elena realized that there was no example. Humanity was unique in their rapid growth while maintaining internal peace. The Council was afraid of something that had never happened before. The decision is made, Zethkari announced. Humanity has 30 standard days to choose one of these 3 options. Failure to respond will be interpreted as choosing the third option. Elena felt the weight of her species' future crushing down on her. I need to contact Earth immediately. Of course, Zethkari said. Use the Council communication systems. We want to ensure your message reaches your leaders without delay. As Elena left the chamber, she failed to notice War Marshal Crux's satisfied smile. She also missed the small signal he sent to his subordinates. The human liaison would never reach Earth alive. The Council wanted a response from humanity, but they had already decided what that response would be. The trap was set. Now they just had to wait for humanity to walk into it. Admiral Marcus Chen stared at the fragmented message on his screen for the 5th time. The transmission had come through unofficial channels, bounced off 3 different relay stations, and was missing several key portions. What remained was enough to make his blood run cold. Council ultimatum. 30 days, 3 options. Elena missing. Chen's office was located deep within the Sol System Defense Command, buried under 3 kilometers of Luna rock. The chamber was designed to survive almost anything, but today it felt inadequate. Today it felt like humanity needed more than reinforced walls. "Sir?" Commander Sarah Kim entered the office, carrying a data pad and wearing an expression of deep concern. "We've lost contact with 17 outer colonies in the past week. The communication blackout started right after Captain Vasquez's last transmission." Chen turned away from his screen. "It's not a coincidence. Someone is cutting us off from the galaxy. The question is whether it's preparation for their ultimatum or preparation for war." Kim set her data pad on Chen's desk. "I've been running analysis on the communication failures. They're too systematic to be natural. Someone with advanced technology is specifically targeting our long-range communication systems." "The Council?" "Most likely. But, sir, there's something else. I've been reviewing our deep space monitoring data from the past 5 years. There have been several incidents that we dismissed as equipment failures or natural phenomena. I think we were wrong." Chen picked up Kim's datapad and scrolled through the information. What he saw made him understand just how badly humanity had underestimated the situation. "These aren't equipment failures. These are attacks." "Yes, sir. 3 research stations, 2 mining facilities, and 1 small colony. All reported technical difficulties, then lost contact. We sent investigation teams to each location. They found empty facilities with signs of rapid evacuation. We assumed the colonists had been relocated for safety reasons. But there were no relocation orders." "No, sir. And when we checked with the colonial administration, they had no record of authorizing any evacuations. We concluded that the colonists had made independent decisions to abandon their posts due to local hazards." Chen felt a cold anger building in his chest. "How many people?" "Approximately 8,000 humans, sir. All disappeared without a trace over the past 5 years. And, sir, I've identified a pattern. Each of these locations was monitoring or researching something the Galactic Council had declared off-limits to developing species." The picture was becoming clear, and Chen did not like what he saw. "They've been testing us, seeing how we respond to pressure, seeing if we notice when our people disappear." "It appears so, sir. And based on Captain Vasquez's message, they've decided we're ready for the final test." Chen walked to the large window that looked out over the Luna surface. Even through 3 kilometers of rock, he could see the Earth hanging in the void like a blue jewel. Somewhere out there, Elena Vasquez was probably dead. Somewhere further out, 8,000 humans had vanished. And somewhere beyond that, alien civilizations were preparing to eliminate humanity as a threat. "Commander Kim, I want you to activate Protocol 7. Kim's face went pale. "Sir, Protocol 7 hasn't been tested. We're not even sure it will work." "It doesn't matter. We're out of options for conventional responses." Chen turned back to face her. "How long will it take to implement?" "If we start immediately and use all available resources, approximately 6 months for full deployment." "But, sir, Protocol 7 requires absolute communication silence. Once we begin, we cannot send or receive any external messages." "Perfect." Kim looked confused. "Sir, the Council wants a response from humanity. They've given us 3 options, all of which lead to our subjugation or destruction. But they've made one critical error in their planning." "What's that, sir?" "They think like a galactic council. They expect us to respond like a member species seeking approval from authority. They expect us to either submit, rebel, or beg for mercy." Chen smiled grimly. "They don't expect us to do what humans do best, which is adapt. The Council wants a response. We'll give them one they never expected. We'll give them silence." Kim was quiet for a moment, processing the implications. "Sir, if we implement Protocol 7, the entire human race will be cut off from galactic communication. We won't be able to trade, negotiate, or even surrender if we change our minds. Commander, how long has humanity been preparing for this moment? Kim checked her data pad. Protocol 7 was developed 12 years ago, but the underlying concepts date back to first contact. Our xenopsychology teams have been modeling potential conflict scenarios for decades. And what was their primary conclusion? That any advanced galactic civilization would eventually view humanity as a threat due to our expansion rate and technological development. They recommended developing contingencies for the scenario where diplomacy fails. Chen nodded. So we've had 12 years to prepare for this moment. The Council has had 30 days to think about their ultimatum. Who do you think is better prepared? Kim began to understand the scope of what Chen was proposing. You're not just talking about communications, silence. You're talking about total implementation of the Quiet Protocol. Every aspect. Communications, transportation, research, defense, everything. For the first time in human history, we're going to show the galaxy what we look like when we stop trying to be friendly neighbors. Sir, the resource requirements, alone, have been calculated and stockpiled for over a decade. Commander, humanity has been preparing for this war since the day we learned we weren't alone in the universe. The only question was whether we would ever need to fight it. Kim stood up straighter. Orders, sir? Send the activation codes to all sector commanders. Inform them that as of right now, humanity is officially cutting all external communications. Any attempt to contact human space from outside will be met with silence. Any attempt to enter human space without authorization will be met with appropriate responses. And the colonies that are still in contact? They get the same message everyone else gets: nothing. From this moment forward, if you're not human, you don't exist as far as we're concerned. Kim hesitated. Sir, what about Captain Vasquez? If she's still alive? Chen was quiet for a long moment. Elena knew the risks when she accepted the liaison position. She also knew about Protocol 7. If she's alive, she'll understand what our silence means. And if the Council escalates to military action, then they'll discover why humanity has been so interested in developing advanced defensive technologies. Commander, the Council fears us because we expand rapidly and develop new technologies. They're about to learn that those aren't our most dangerous traits. What are our most dangerous traits, sir? Chen looked back out at Earth. Patience and preparation. The Council thinks in terms of immediate threats and quick solutions. They see our expansion and assume we're preparing to conquer them. They don't understand that we're preparing to survive them? Kim gathered her datapad and headed for the door. How long do you think we'll need to maintain the silence? As long as it takes. The Council wanted to know what humanity would choose when faced with submission or destruction. They're about to learn that we choose neither. After Kim left, Chen remained at the window for several minutes. In a few hours, every human communication array would go dark. Every human ship would stop acknowledging hails from alien vessels. Every human colony would become silent to the outside galaxy. The Council had given humanity 30 days to respond to their ultimatum. They would get their response, but not in the way they expected. They would get silence so complete and so absolute that it would be louder than any declaration of war. And while the galaxy wondered what humanity was thinking, humanity would be doing what they did best, preparing for the worst while hoping for the best. The Quiet War was about to begin. 3 months had passed since humanity's communications went dark, and Council Prime Zeth Kari found himself staring at the same holographic displays every day. The human territories glowed softly on the 3-dimensional map, showing normal energy signatures, regular ship movements, and all the signs of a functioning civilization. Yet they had not sent a single message to the outside galaxy. This is unprecedented, muttered Counselor Thixnar, his metallic fingers drumming against the conference table. In 3,000 years of Council history, no species has ever responded to an ultimatum with complete silence. Ambassador Velnara floated nearby, her elegant form tense with concentration. I have been attempting telepathic contact with human minds at the edge of their territory. There is something blocking my abilities. It's not natural shielding. It's artificial, widespread, and very sophisticated. War Marshal Crux paced around the chamber, his 6 legs creating a rhythmic clicking that was starting to irritate the other council members. They're planning something. This silence is not submission. It's preparation. We should have acted immediately when they failed to respond. Failed to respond? Zethkari's crystalline voice carried a note of uncertainty. They did respond. They chose silence. The question is what that silence means. The past 3 months had been deeply unsettling for the Galactic Council. They had expected humanity to choose one of the 3 options presented to them. Submission would have led to negotiations about the terms of their technological limitations. Withdrawal would have resulted in monitoring protocols to ensure they remained in their home system. Even choosing conflict would have been preferable. It would have justified immediate military action. Instead, humanity had simply stopped talking to the rest of the galaxy. Our monitoring stations report normal activity within human space, reported Counselor Vex High, a slug-like being whose species specialized in long-range observation. Ships moving between colonies, construction projects continuing, resource extraction proceeding on schedule. By all appearances, they are conducting business as usual. Except they won't answer our calls, Crux snarled. They won't acknowledge our messages. They act as if the rest of the galaxy doesn't exist. Velnara closed her eyes and extended her consciousness toward the nearest human colony. What she found there made her uncomfortable. There is something different about human mental patterns now. Before the silence began, human thoughts were chaotic, emotional, individualistic. Now there is organization, discipline, unity of purpose. What kind of purpose? Zethkari asked. I cannot determine that. Their mental shields are too strong. But whatever they are doing it together, with a level of coordination I have never observed in their species. The Council had tried everything to break humanity's silence. They had sent diplomatic vessels to the edge of human space, broadcasting messages of concern and offers to renegotiate the terms of the ultimatum. The human ships in the area had simply changed course to avoid contact, never acknowledging the Council vessel's presence. They had attempted to communicate through intermediary species, traders and merchants who had previous contact with humanity. Those intermediaries returned with reports that human ports were still accepting cargo and conducting business, but no human would discuss anything related to the Council or galactic politics. Most disturbing of all, they had detected signs that humans were laughing. Explain this again, Zethkari demanded, reviewing the latest intelligence reports. Counselor Hextor, whose species had excellent hearing across multiple spectrums, manipulated the audio controls. We intercepted this transmission from a human freight convoy 3 days ago. The chamber filled with the sound of human laughter, genuine, relaxed laughter mixed with casual conversation about cargo manifests and route schedules. To most species, it sounded innocent enough, but the council members found it deeply unsettling. They're not afraid, Velnara observed. A species facing an ultimatum from the Galactic Council should be showing signs of stress, fear, or anger. These humans sound amused. It's a psychological tactic, Crux insisted. They want us to think they're unconcerned while they prepare their defenses. We should probe their outer territories with scout ships. We tried that, Zethkari reminded him. 3 ships approached the Jupiter mining operations 2 weeks ago. And they disappeared. The chamber fell silent. The missing scout ships had become a source of significant anxiety among the council members. Long-range sensors had detected the ships entering the outer Sol system, but they had never emerged. No debris, no distress signals, no indication of what had happened to them. Have we received any demands regarding our missing ships? Asked Thixnar. No demands, no acknowledgement. No indication that humanity is even aware our ships are missing, Zethkari replied. It's as if they never existed. Crux's agitation was reaching dangerous levels. This is exactly what I warned about. They're demonstrating capabilities we don't understand while maintaining perfect innocence. They're making us afraid of shadows, while hiding their true strength. Or, Velnara said quietly, they genuinely don't know what happened to our ships. 3 military scout vessels don't just vanish, Crux protested. Ships vanish in space all the time, Counselor Vexhai pointed out. Equipment failures, navigation errors, cosmic phenomena. Space is dangerous. But even as he said it, Vexhai didn't sound convinced. The timing was too convenient. 3 ships disappearing while investigating human space, right after humanity had chosen to ignore the Council's ultimatum. I've been analyzing human behavioral patterns from our historical data, announced Dr. Zixnall, the Council's xenopsychology expert. This silence is consistent with human cultural patterns, but not in the way we expected. Explain, Zethkari ordered. Humans have a concept they call the silent treatment. It's a social response where they withdraw communication as a form of protest or punishment. Children use it against parents who have disappointed them. Adults use it in relationship conflicts. Entire human communities have been known to shun individuals who violate social norms. Crux stopped pacing. Are you suggesting that humanity is giving the Galactic Council the silent treatment? It fits the pattern. From their perspective, we have threatened them without justification. We have demanded they limit their growth and submit to our authority. We have essentially told them they cannot be trusted to govern themselves. A human response would be to withdraw cooperation until we demonstrate proper respect. The implications of this analysis were staggering. If humanity was treating the Galactic Council like misbehaving children, it suggested a level of confidence that bordered on arrogance. It also implied that they expected the Council to eventually apologize and renegotiate from a position of equality rather than authority. That's absurd, Crux declared. We are the established galactic authority. We have 12 member species with thousands of years of combined experience. We represent the wisdom and stability of galactic civilization. Yes, Dr. Zixnall agreed. And humanity is treating us like we don't matter. The silence stretched on. Each day that passed without human communication made the Council more anxious and uncertain. They had prepared for war, negotiation, or submission. They had not prepared for irrelevance. What do we do? Thixnar asked finally. Zethkari studied the holographic map of human space. Normal activity, normal energy signatures, normal ship movements. A civilization going about its business as if the rest of the galaxy had ceased to exist. We wait, he decided. Humanity chose silence. We will respect that choice until they decide to break it. And if they never break it? Velnara asked. Then, we will learn whether the Galactic Council can maintain its authority while being completely ignored by an entire species. War Marshal Crux's mandibles clicked together in frustration, but he said nothing. Deep down, he was beginning to suspect that humanity's silence was not a sign of weakness or preparation for war. It was a demonstration of something far more dangerous, complete indifference to the Council's authority. And if humanity could ignore the Council with impunity, other species might begin to wonder why they needed the Council's permission for anything at all. Deep in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, Dr. Sarah Kim floated through a facility that officially did not exist. The mining station designated as Series 7 appeared on all public records as a routine mineral extraction operation. In reality, it was the command center for humanity's most ambitious project in their history. Kim pushed herself along the corridor walls, her magnetic boots clicking softly against the metal flooring when she chose to walk normally. Around her, the facility hummed with activity that would have amazed and terrified the Galactic Council if they had known it existed. "Status report," she called as she entered the main operations center. Commander Torres looked up from his workstation. where holographic displays showed data streams that represented months of careful preparation. All systems are green, Dr. Kim. The quantum manipulation arrays are operating at 96% efficiency. The stealth field generators are holding steady, and the deep space monitoring network is fully operational. Kim nodded with satisfaction. What about the other facilities? Luna Base reports full readiness. The Europa station is ahead of schedule. Even the Pluto outpost is online, despite the supply challenges. Torres paused. Dr. Kim, I have to ask, how long have we been preparing for this? Kim smiled grimly. Commander, what do you know about the Henderson Protocol? Never heard of it. Good. That means the security classifications worked. The Henderson Protocol was established 3 years after first contact with the Galactic Council. It was named after Dr. Elizabeth Henderson, our first xenopsychology specialist. Kim pulled up a historical file on one of the displays. Dr. Henderson studied every interaction between humanity and the Council for 2 years. Then she wrote a report that scared the hell out of the Global Defense Council. What did it say? That the Galactic Council would eventually view humanity as a threat regardless of our actions or intentions. She identified patterns in how the Council dealt with rapidly developing species. Species that expanded quickly were pressured to slow down. Species that developed new technologies were required to share them. Species that maintained independence were gradually isolated and weakened. Torres was quiet for a moment. So we've been preparing for this conversation for decades. Not just preparing for the conversation, Commander. Preparing for the aftermath. Kim gestured toward the displays around them. Everything you see here, every piece of technology we've developed, every facility we've built, it all started with Dr. Henderson's report. The asteroid facility was impressive, but it was only one part of a much larger operation. Throughout human space, similar installations had been constructed over the past 15 years. Officially, they were mining, operations, research stations, or industrial facilities. In reality, they represented the most comprehensive defensive network ever created by a single species. The quantum manipulation technology, Torres said, understanding beginning to dawn. We didn't develop it for mining operations? No. We developed it because Dr. Henderson's psychological analysis suggested that any conflict with the Council would involve technologies we don't currently understand. We needed defensive capabilities that could adapt to unknown threats. Kim led Torres to a viewing port that looked out into space. To the naked eye, the area around the facility looked empty, just the normal scatter of asteroids and debris that filled this region of the solar system. But Torres knew that appearances were deceiving. How many ships are out there? He asked. In this sector? Approximately 200 vessels, ranging from single-pilot scouts to battleships that could engage Council dreadnoughts. All of them invisible, to conventional sensors. All of them crewed by volunteers who understand they might never see Earth again. And the other sectors? Similar numbers. Commander, humanity has built the largest stealth fleet in galactic history. We've done it slowly, carefully, using resources diverted from legitimate mining and construction projects. The Council has been watching us expand and develop, but they've been watching the wrong things. Torres was beginning to understand the scope of what humanity had accomplished during their decades of apparent peaceful expansion. The colonies, they weren't just about population growth. Every human colony established in the past 20 years has dual purposes. They're legitimate settlements, but they're also supply bases, defensive installations, and strategic positions. The Council saw rapid expansion and assumed we were grabbing territory. We were actually building the most extensive military network in the galaxy. Kim activated a new display that showed the true scope of human preparations. The map revealed hidden installations throughout human space, supply chains that could operate independently of normal commerce, and communication networks that bypassed all known galactic monitoring systems. This is why we could afford to go silent, Kim explained. We've been preparing for isolation since the day we learned we weren't alone. The Council thinks they cut us off from galactic civilization. Actually, we've been ready to operate independently for over a decade. But why keep it secret for so long? If we had this capability, why not use it as a deterrent? Kim turned away from the display. Because Dr. Henderson's report contained one more critical insight. The Council doesn't respond well to shows of strength from developing species. If we had revealed our capabilities early, they would have seen it as confirmation of their fears. They would have acted immediately before we were fully prepared. So we had to appear weak until we were strong enough to not need their approval. Exactly. And Commander, we reached that point about 6 months ago. The Council's ultimatum came at the perfect time. Torres looked confused. Perfect time? We were running out of ways to hide our true capabilities. Our expansion was beginning to reveal the scope of our defensive preparations. Our technological development was advancing beyond what we could explain as civilian research. Within another year, the Council would have discovered what we were really doing. Kim activated another display, this one showing real-time positions of Council ships throughout the galaxy. Instead, they gave us the perfect excuse to implement full operational security. Our silence isn't just a psychological tactic, it's operational camouflage. While they wonder what we're thinking, we're completing the final phase of our preparations. What's the final phase? Kim smiled, but it wasn't a pleasant expression. Demonstration. The Council sent 3 scout ships to investigate our outer territories. Those ships encountered our new defensive systems. Are they destroyed? No, that would have been an act of war. Instead, they've been modified. Torres felt a chill run down his spine. Modified how? Each ship has been equipped with a message pod that will activate when they return to Council space. The message is very simple. We heard you the first time. And if they don't return to Council space, then the pods will activate anyway, broadcasting the message on all Council frequencies. Commander, those 3 ships are going to deliver humanity's response to the Council's ultimatum, whether their crews want to or not. Torres was quiet for several minutes, processing the implications. Dr. Kim, what happens after we deliver the message? That depends on how the Council responds. If they're smart, they'll realize that humanity has been preparing for this confrontation far longer and more thoroughly than they assumed. They'll understand that their ultimatum was never really about preventing human expansion. It was about determining whether humanity could be controlled. And if they're not smart, Kim looked back out at the empty space that concealed humanity's greatest military achievement. Then they'll discover that humans have one advantage that no other species in the galaxy possesses, which is, we're very good at learning from history. Every human child learns about civilizations that tried to control other civilizations through threats and ultimatums. We know how those stories end. Torres nodded slowly. The Council wanted to know if humanity would submit to their authority. Yes, and we're about to show them that the question was irrelevant. We don't need their authority. We don't need their approval. We don't need their permission to exist, expand, or develop. Kim activated a final display that showed the countdown timer for the message pods aboard the 3 Council ships. In approximately 18 hours, the Galactic Council is going to learn that humanity's silence wasn't submission, preparation for war, or even defiance. What was it? Patience. We were waiting for them to finish talking so we could show them what we've been doing while they weren't paying attention. The facility around them continued its quiet work, preparing for a confrontation that had been decades in the making. Humanity had chosen silence not because they had nothing to say, but because they had been waiting for the right moment to say everything at once. Council Prime Zeth Kari was reviewing morning reports when every display in his office suddenly went dark. For a moment, he wondered if there had been a power failure, but the lights remained steady and the environmental systems continued their quiet hum. Then, slowly, text began appearing on every screen, written in perfect Council standard script. We heard you the first time. The same message was appearing simultaneously across Council space. Every artificial satellite, every space station computer, every ship's navigation system, every communication relay, all of them displayed the same simple sentence. It remained visible for exactly 60 seconds, then vanished as suddenly as it had appeared. Zethkari was still staring at his blank screens when his communication system activated. Emergency calls were coming in from every council member world, all reporting the same phenomenon. Somehow humanity had just demonstrated the ability to access and control every piece of technology in council space simultaneously. How is this possible? War Marshal Crux demanded as the emergency session convened an hour later. Our systems are protected by encryption that would take centuries to break. Our networks are isolated from outside access. Our security protocols were designed to prevent exactly this kind of intrusion. Ambassador Velnara floated in her chair, her normally graceful movements sharp with anxiety. The telepathic implications are staggering. To coordinate an action like this across galactic distances would require a level of mental organization that we didn't think any species possessed. Dr. Zixnall, the xenopsychology expert, was studying data streams on his personal device. I'm detecting massive energy signatures throughout human space. Whatever they just did, it required enormous power generation. These aren't the energy patterns of a species hiding in their territory. This is the signature of advanced industrial civilization operating at full capacity. Zethkari felt the weight of 3 centuries of leadership pressing down on his crystalline form. Status report on our missing scout ships. They returned to base 6 hours ago, sir, reported Counselor Vex High. All 3 ships, all crew members accounted for, no apparent damage or injury. Did they report what happened to them? That's the strange part, sir. According to their logs, they approached the outer Sol system, detected some unusual energy, readings, decided to investigate further, then found themselves heading back to base. They have no memory of the intervening time period. How much time? Approximately 14 days, sir. From their perspective, they were investigating human space for a few hours, then suddenly they were 2 weeks older and heading home. The implications were disturbing. Humanity had not destroyed the Council ships or harmed their crews. Instead, they had done something far more unsettling. They had demonstrated complete control over the situation while leaving no evidence of what that control entailed. Sir, Vex High continued, there's more. Each ship was carrying a message pod that activated when they entered our communication range. The message was identical to what appeared on all our systems. Crux slammed one of his 6 fists on the conference table. This is exactly what I warned about. They're demonstrating capabilities we can't understand or counter. They're showing us that our defenses mean nothing to them. Or, Velnara said quietly, they're showing us that they never considered our defenses relevant to begin with. Before anyone could respond to this unsettling observation, the chamber's main display activated. A human figure appeared. Not a hologram, but a live transmission. The council members recognized her immediately. Captain Elena Vasquez stood in what appeared to be a simple office, wearing a clean uniform and looking remarkably well for someone who had been missing for over a year. Behind her, large windows showed a view of Earth that could only be captured from a high orbital station. Greetings, council members, Elena said with a calm smile. I apologize for the dramatic nature of our communication, but you seem to be having difficulty understanding our previous message. Zethkari found his voice first. Captain Vasquez, we were informed you were missing. I was never missing, Council Prime. I was exactly where I needed to be, when I needed to be there. Elena gestured to a chair behind her desk. Please, may I explain humanity's response to your ultimatum? You already gave us your response, Crux snarled. A year of silence followed by a demonstration of how you can violate our security systems. Elena shook her head. War Marshal, you misunderstand. The silence wasn't our response to your ultimatum. The silence was our way of giving you time to reconsider your position. Our position? Zethkari asked. Your ultimatum was based on the assumption that humanity required your permission to exist as we choose to exist. You offered us three options: submit to your control, accept isolation, or face destruction. These options assumed that you had authority over human civilization. Elena paused, her expression becoming more serious. We spent a year in silence because we wanted to give you time to realize that your assumption was incorrect. Velnara leaned forward. Are you saying humanity rejects the authority of the Galactic Council? I'm saying humanity never accepted that authority in the first place, Elena replied. We participated in council meetings as interested neighbors. We shared information as friends. We respected your guidance as experienced galactic citizens, but we never agreed that you had the right to control our development or expansion. Dr. Zixenol was furiously taking notes. Captain, are you declaring independence from galactic civilization? Elena laughed, and the sound was genuinely amused. Doctor, we were never part of galactic civilization in the way you understand it. We were observers, participants, neighbors. But we were never subjects, requiring permission to live our lives. Then what was today's demonstration? Crux demanded. Today's demonstration was our way of showing you what we've been doing during our year of silence. Elena gestured, and the display behind her changed to show a star map of the local galactic region. You see, while you were waiting for our response to your ultimatum, we were preparing our actual response. The star map showed human space, but it was different from any map the Council had seen before. Instead of the 40-some systems they thought humanity occupied, the display showed over 200 star systems with active human presence. Ships moved between them in patterns that suggested a level of organization and development that dwarfed anything in Council records. Impossible, breathed Thixnar. Our long-range scans would have detected that level of expansion. Your long-range scans detected exactly what we wanted them to detect, Elena said. For the past 30 years, humanity has been developing stealth, technology, quantum manipulation systems, and organizational structures that allowed us to expand far beyond what you believed possible. Zethkari felt something that might have been fear if crystalline beings could experience such emotions. Why hide this from us? Because we knew this conversation would eventually happen, Elena replied. Our xenopsychology experts predicted that any established galactic authority would eventually view rapid human expansion as a threat. We prepared for that inevitability. Prepared how? Velnara asked, though she suspected she didn't want to know the answer. We prepared by becoming independent of your authority before you realized we needed to be controlled. We prepared by developing defensive capabilities before you decided we were dangerous. We prepared by creating alternative civilization structures, before you demanded we conform to your expectations. Elena stood up, her expression becoming formal. Council members, humanity's response to your ultimatum is as follows. We reject all three options you offered us. We choose a fourth option that you didn't include in your list. Which is? Zethkari asked. We choose to continue existing as we have been existing, developing as we choose to develop, and expanding as we see fit to expand. We will continue to be respectful neighbors to species that treat us with respect. We will continue to participate in galactic civilization as interested partners, not subordinate subjects. Crux was practically vibrating with anger. And if the Council decides this is unacceptable? Elena's smile returned, but it was different now, confident, almost pitying. War Marshal, that's entirely your decision. But you should understand that humanity is no longer the species you issued an ultimatum to a year ago. We've spent that year becoming something new. What have you become? Zethkari asked. We've become a civilization that doesn't need your permission, doesn't fear your threats, and doesn't require your approval to exist. We've become what humans always become when we're given enough time to prepare. Elena paused, looking directly at each council member in turn. We've become independent. The transmission ended, leaving the council members in stunned silence. After several minutes, Velnara spoke first. "They've been planning this since first contact. 30 years, Dr. Zixnall confirmed. 30 years of apparent cooperation, while preparing for complete independence." Zethkari reviewed the implications. They never intended to submit to council authority. They were buying time to develop alternatives. "The question now," Crux said quietly, "is what we do about it." But even as he said it, all of them knew the answer. Humanity had just demonstrated that they could access any council system, had expanded.